let's be honest, managing a team of people can be hard. So, is there anything that can make that easier? And I think there is. So, I had a long conversation with someone a couple of days ago, and we were talking about, in general, kind of leadership, life, progress, and there were quite a few things that came up when we were talking about managing a team of people. And something that I've learned through my experience, when you're managing, let's just say when you have a client, is to manage those clients' expectations. Now, if I'm managing that client from day one and they say they want something, let's just say they want a, I don't know, let's say I'm what I used to do, build people houses. So say I was building someone a house and I was managing that whole process. I would say to them, I would hear what they want, and then I would give them realistic expectations of what they can get with their money. So I wouldn't say, yep, you can get everything, you'll get this, you'll get that. Because what everyone wants, every client from day one, is they always want more than what their money can afford. Unless you've got some freakily rich person, the majority of people want more than they can afford. They will always push it. Now, the other thing that they want is they want it done fast. Most people want it done fast, so they will say, I want delivery of my house in 6 months because that's when I need to move out of my house. I want delivery in 6 months, and I want all of this. I want it this big, this many rooms. I want electronic bifold doors and state of the art kitchen, which costs £30,000 for the kitchen. Well, they don't even say a price, but they'll say I want this kitchen and I want this and I want that. And when you add it all up and you give it to them and you say, well, first of all, you're not going to get it done that quickly because there's demolitions involved. There's let's just say a lot of foundation work involved. All of that on its own might be, let's just say, 4 months. So it's 4 months, realistic 4 months, and you're saying you want the whole thing in 6 months? Not happening. And I think managing the expectations of those people is very, very important from day one. So to say to them, I will do my best. I, for example, if they want to start building in September, being based in the UK, I would say to them, I wouldn't advise it because it could potentially cost you more money. Because if you start in September, you're going into the rainy season and you're not going to be weather tight. Say you're not going to be weather tight for realistically 6 months. If you start in September, you're more likely going to be 8 months, maybe pushing 9, because you're hitting it in the really bad weather. So instead, if I know realistically it was 5 to 6 months, I'd want them to start the demolitions maybe February, and I would want to be weather tight before it starts raining, say mid September. So I would I would plan it to be as efficient and as streamlined as possible, but saying to those people, this is the situation. If you do this, it could cost this. And then when you do get a problem, you say to someone, this is the reality of it. This is how much it's going to cost to get it the way you want it, or we can take it out, or we can substitute it for something else to bring your money back down, or whatever the issue might be. I feel that being honest with people all the time is vitally important, and giving them the truth, or giving them options, telling them the truth of what the situation is. Now, going back to, that's obviously if you've got a client. Going back to managers. Now, I've had managers before who've said to me, right, I need you to deliver me this by the end of the month. And I've said, it's not going to happen. And they'll say, what do you mean it's not going to happen? I need it by the end of the month. I said, well, you're not going to get it by the end of the month. There's no one on the planet that could get you this by the end of the month. It doesn't matter how many people you throw it. The problem you've got is too many bodies will make it not work. There's kind of like a peak amount of people you can have on a project before it starts going horribly wrong, because there's too many people doing things at once. Plus you've got certain jobs that need finishing before you can start the next job. You can't throw everyone all at a job at the same time. You need the walls to be finished before you can paint, for example, in a housing project. You can't just say, right, we're going to send everyone on all at once. The most amount of time someone's going to need is 4 weeks. So the job is going to be 4 weeks. It's not. You have to have dependencies. So this is dependent on this job being complete. Now, me explaining that to my manager and him saying, no, you're going to do it by this time. And then him trying to stitch me up in front of, and this has happened before, a director saying, we'll get it done. And I will say to him clearly, or as I did in this situation, I said to him clearly in front of the director, it will not happen. The director asked me why not, and I explain it very, very clearly. You've got 2 weeks on this, 4 weeks on this, there's another 2 weeks on this, you're going to have to adjust this, you've got to move this, and I'm telling them the sequence, the dependencies. You've got to have this before you do this, and before you do this, and before you do this. So giving it very clearly. Now obviously my manager's going, don't worry, we'll don't worry about that, we will get it for that time, me and you are going to talk later. And I'm like, yes we are, because you're not throwing me under the bus. So managing people's expectations, I think, is very, very important. Now that director turned around to me and said, well, if you can't do it, then I'm going to have to get someone else in. I will say clearly, that's fine, it is what it is, but no one can do that. No one can do that. So I'm happy to go if that's what you want, but whoever you get in will also fail. If it's something that's beyond my remit, and it was to manage a computer program, the designing of a new computer program, I've got no idea. So if they say to me how long it's going to take, and I say, well, I've been told it's going to take 6 months, and we're not going to be able to do it any quicker. If they say to me, well, I'm going to get someone else in who can do it, I would say, okay, because that's what I'm being told. I don't know anymore. I don't have the experience to say it can or it cannot. But in this particular remit, I do have the experience to say no one can do it in that time. It's not within. I mean, even if you work through the night, it's not realistic. So I think managing the expectations of managers, managing the expectations of clients are very important. Now here's the thing, on the theme of leadership, I also think it's incredibly important to manage the expectations of your followers. So in this conversation I had with the conversation I had the other day, I was talking about managing your team, and I said that managing your team from day one and saying, for example, this is a very difficult job that we are undertaking now, it's going to be another 3 months, this is the plan. I need all of your help. Some of you are going to have to, for example, this person have got a lot of experience in this. They're going to be taking the lead in that. And delegating all the responsibility, making sure that everyone understands that they're going to have some responsibility of some kind. No one's going to be let off the hook. We as a team are going to achieve this, but it's going to be very difficult. If you don't want any part of it, say now. So the sooner the better. I want to know as soon as possible. Now, if they don't, and in 2 weeks' time they say, I just can't do it, I love the honesty. I appreciate it. And if they want to come back, or if they want recommendation, I can recommend them to someone and just say, look, in a non-high pressure environment, they can perform. So managing the expectations of your people is important, because if you say to everyone, oh, it's going to be easy, it's going to be, walk in the park, no one's going to have any pressure, it's an easy life, you're going to have people complain, the team is going to fall apart. And if you have 1 or 2 people out of a team of 10 that can cut the, whatever it may be, the high performing culture, if they can't do that and that's not within them, 1 or 2 you can deal with. What you can't deal with is 3 or 4 that can't deal with that culture, another 2 or 3 that are backstabbing because they want to get the promotion, and whatever it may be. You cannot do that. So you need to make sure everyone knows where they stand. Do not dangle bullshit carrots. Do not say to someone, yeah, if you complete this, there's going to be a promotion at the end. If there's not a promotion, there's not a promotion. Just say, I have no promotions until someone leaves. And they are not leaving because they are very, very good. I appreciate you're very good, and I will support you if you want to take that next step at another company. I would love to keep you, but I'm not going to hold you back. I want the best for my team. I want the best for you. I'm going to be gutted about keeping you. I will help you get what you want. But if you're telling me you want to go, that's cool. What I'm going to do is hire someone now for to work with you, for you to be able to train while we work together in finding you a promotion at another company. And I would like that kind of that relationship with my team, and my team will respect me for that, and not just the person who wants to leave, but everyone else within the team will say, do you know what an amazing place to work. People will want to be there. Now, if you lie to people, people get disgruntled, people get pissed off. One of the biggest issues I've seen is people who one of the biggest problems I've seen within teams is how would I word it, someone not being rewarded for loyalty. It happens a lot. So say within a team you've got 10 people and 5 of them have been there for years and years and years and years and years. And I'll just say all of them. Just say all 10 have been there for years. Promotions have been slow, pay increases have been slow. They are not quite at what the average market rate is. The problem you've got now is when you want to hire someone else, you want someone to fit in, you want someone good. So now you have to match the market rate, and the market rate might be 5,000-10,000 more than what you're paying your team. So now you've got a problem of you bring someone in who isn't going to perform as well because they don't know your company, they don't know your culture. They're not going to be able to perform as well straight away, and they're on 10 grand more than your loyal workers who have got you to the point where you are. So I believe looking after the people that you have already is the most important thing. Not trying to save a few £1,000s by not giving promotions out or not giving pay rises out. If I want to keep my team, I'm going to pay them more. I'm going to pay them to stay. I know their value. I'm going to pay you what you're worth, not pay you what the going rate is. Because if I pay you the going rate and you are very good, someone else is going to pay you more than the going rate. I want to pay you your worth. If you are in the top 10% of like people who I've had in that position of worker, I don't know what it is. I don't know, a manager of some sort. If I've hired a manager and they're within the top, easy in the top 10% of managers I've ever had, then I better be paying them that. Otherwise, they're going to leave. If anything, I want to pay them because they're not finished developing yet. I'll make sure of that. So I will push them to develop and develop till the point they get that they are in the right position. But I'm going to pay them to make sure they stay. A lot of people will leave because you have promised them stuff and it doesn't happen. So I think managing the expectations to say this, say you're in the military and you said, right, this mission is fucked. A lot of us are, it's going to be incredibly difficult. Our lives are on the line. I can't guarantee that we're all going to come back. Telling people how serious it is, people will appreciate that honesty. Don't lie to them and say, well, probably not going to get attacked, it'll be fine, because they're not going to be ready for it. Tell them the truth. And you will find out who those brave men are before you even get into trouble. Brave people, you need to know who the ones who are composed and brave day one. So you tell them the truth. And then you also don't lie to them about rewards. Oh, if you all complete this mission, you're going to get to go home. You're going to go get to see your families. And then you don't give them that. If you don't give them that, they're going to lose morale, they're going to lose trust. You need to tell them the truth. So I think managing expectations of your team and your clients and your managers and everyone is incredibly important. So I think managing expectations is probably the number one thing anyone can do in any position, manager or not. I think managing expectations is vital. So something else he asked me was about fear of failure, and fear of failure and losing. And he said to me, how do you deal with losing? And I said to him, I don't lose. And he said, well, of course you do. Everyone loses. I was like, I don't think I do. Now, bear in mind, it's the perception of what losing is, and I think this is again is incredibly, incredibly important. So, say I played someone at tennis, and they were. I mean, I'm horrendously bad at tennis. I've probably played a handful of times in my life. I'm terrible. My knees are terrible. I can't change direction anymore. So I would get absolutely just destroyed by probably a half decent 12-year-old. So I would get destroyed. Now, if someone then said to me, you lost, I'm managing my own expectations. So I'm not expecting to defeat this person I'm playing against. So technically, I'm not losing if I'm not trying, if that makes sense. So I can kind of go, this isn't my thing. Now, to take that to the next level, I'm not playing against the person I'm playing against. Now, I might have lost the match. But at the same time, how much have I gained from it? Well, what my expectations of this were, by the end of it, I don't want to be injured. I want to have lasted the whole, let's say, match. But I'm going to get fitness from this, and I'm going to get slightly better, however small that improvement is, at tennis. So by the end of it, am I injured? No. Have I lasted the whole match? Yeah. Am I slightly better? Yeah. So basically, I've won because that's what my target was for this. So I'm not trying to beat that other person. I'm trying to be better than what I was yesterday. Now, say I'm not better than what I was yesterday. So my target is I want to be better than yesterday. I'm going to lose. Sometimes, because you can't be better every time. So instead, what I'm going to say is, in my head, and this is where perception comes from. So I'm going to change the perception in my head, change the question, if you want to call it that. So I'm going to say, my target is, I'm going to play tennis 10 times, and I want to be better after game 10 than I was at game 1. I can't lose. I can't lose because no matter what, I'm going to be better. So I set myself targets and goals that I can't lose. So let's say I had a business and the business went bankrupt. I'm either going to say to myself, right, it was something that was out of my hands. Let's just say it was COVID, destroyed my business. It was something that out of my hands. So my business went under, but I've not stopped. I'm going to start again. I'm going to rebuild. So I've not lost. My company went under, but I've not lost. Now say it was my fault and the company went under because I'd managed it badly. Well, I've not lost because I'm not stopping. It's a lesson learned. I learned the very hard way. I'm going to have to start again. But everything I've learned last time, I'm going to use to be even better next time. So I didn't lose. Arguments. I genuinely can't think of the last time I lost an argument. And there's a very good reason for this. Unless I know I'm right, I don't argue. And also, I don't argue if I don't care. So if I'm arguing with someone who I don't care about, what a waste of energy. So if someone, I mean, sometimes I get frustrated. That's the only thing that I do lose control with sometimes. So say I do lose control. I get very frustrated. I lose my head. I start having a go at someone. That to me is I've lost control, but I need to use that to learn from the experience. What triggered me? Right, next time I'm not going to get triggered by ABC because, or I'm going to do my best to last a little bit longer until I get triggered. If I give myself goals like this, I can't lose. I can't lose. So I might have lost the argument, but I'm going to say, okay, I lost because, I don't know, I didn't have enough information. So again, this is a lesson I learned many years ago. I used to lose, as everyone does, win some arguments, lose others. I don't anymore, because if I'm not 100% that I'm right, I don't argue. So if someone says to me, and I've had it in work before, and someone will say, you somebody made a mistake, and we had a customer complain straight away. Yeah, that was me. My bad. I did make a mistake. I said something that I shouldn't have. I thought it was going to be completed at this period, and it wasn't. I didn't manage their expectations properly, and I understand that they've complained, and it's completely my fault. As soon as you've done that, there is no argument. They'll go, okay, don't do it again. Okay, I didn't intend to do it, so that's fine. Now, if for example, I know for a fact I have proof that I didn't do something and someone is trying to blame me for something, and this is something I've had to learn the hard way, is always cover yourself, because there's always someone out there who just will throw you under the bus to look after themselves. So if I've got the evidence to prove that it's not me, and someone is having a go at me about it, I will then argue back, because I can prove my point and say, no, you're wrong, that was not me, have another look. So I will argue my point instantly. I think what I'm basically doing is fixing the environment and fixing my mental state, confusing reality, if you want to call it that, playing mental gymnastics to enable myself to never lose a situation. So, someone attacked me, I wasn't ready for it, and I got beaten up. Well, next time, what I'm going to have to do is be more wary. So, I'm going to use that as a learning experience to... I mean, if I then never went out again and became agoraphobic, I've lost. But if I'm like, okay, not a problem, I'm going to go back out again tomorrow, but I'm going to learn from it and improve from it. For me, I've not lost. It was a bump in the road, but I'm still going. So I think the fact that you're still going is the most important thing, and you can convince yourself that you never lose. This is something I gained from sport. You can lose a game, you can have a bad game, but if you learn from it always, you make a mistake. If you make a mistake and then you dwell on that mistake, you're never, ever, ever going to be able to perform at professional level in sport. So instead, if you make a mistake and then you kind of say, that's because I haven't practiced that enough, how frustrating. If you let the pressure get to you, you let people having a go at you, people watching, some of the fans put you off your game, then damn it, that's something I need to work on. I need to work on shutting those people out and ignoring the comments. So it's constantly, how can I improve? Where can I improve? What can I do better? So it leads me on to my next thing, which is, he said to me, I'm always such a glass half full person. And I said to him, I wouldn't say glass half full. I said, I basically, I told him about a story I'd heard or a quote that I'd heard, and someone had said that, and I love it. I love this. They said, "Is the glass half full or half empty?" And they said, "It's completely full. It's half full of water and half full of air." How true is that? How true is that? It is so true, and I love that, and I live by that. So unless it's in a vacuum, and then it is empty. I mean, you could say it's full of nothing, but it's empty, but I've not got a problem with that. But technically, it's not empty. It's half full of water, half full of air. So it's your perception. Your perception. And I think that is incredibly important for everything you do. And this is why it goes back to the beginning, which is about managing expectations. If someone expects something to be a certain way, and you manage their perception of what something is going to be, then they behave differently, they react differently. So sometimes when someone behaves really badly, you need to sometimes, and this is something I've learned, is step back and think, why are they behaving that way? Why are they Why are they perceiving the situation to be what they are claiming it to be? Are they lying to try and get themselves out of trouble? Do they genuinely believe that? And if they do genuinely believe that, why? It might be because they're a different age. It might be because they saw it from a different angle. It might be because they have a different religion. Whatever the case may be, everyone sees things differently. So managing, it's kind of, do you know what? This goes back to something I've said previously about manipulation, and manipulation being for good and being able to use it for good. You are basically manipulating people's expectations of what they are going to see or what they're expecting to see. Now, I saw a program years ago and it was about the Loch Ness Monster. I can't remember what the program was. And the Loch Ness Monster is the monster that people think, I'm sure everyone knows what it is, but it's the monster that's in Loch Ness in Scotland, and everyone thinks it's some sort of like dinosaur that used to live there, and people have been seeing it over time, and some people have been trying to catch it, and no one knows what's in that. Now, I remember this program, they took these people up, they did an experiment. They took them on a bus, and as the guide had his back to the water, someone down the river had a rope, and they pulled the rope, and up came just a log, a bit of wood, and it was, I don't know, say 80 metres away. And they pulled this bit of wood up, and it came up for 3 seconds and went back down. And everyone was stood on the side, and all these people who were on this tour bus saw it, and they were like, oh my word, we've seen it, oh my word. And then straight away, the tour guide who was with them said, oh, we have this thing where we need you to draw a picture of what you saw. So everyone starts drawing the picture, and they draw it like it looks like a dinosaur. It's got like a long wavy neck, and then it's got a head, and they put an eye on it and a mouth, and some of them have put a tail on it, and they make it look like some sort of dinosaur, and they're all like, yeah, that's definitely what I saw. It's definitely what I saw. And they then say, okay, cool. Basically, we've done an experiment on you. We're going to show you what it was. So they pull the wood. Up comes this bit of stick, and they all go, oh. And they're like, is that what you saw? And they're like, yeah. But no, I don't remember it being like that. But yeah, that is what I saw. So they're kind of a bit like, oh. And that is because what they expected to see. It's the same with when you get someone who's in a lineup, like a criminal lineup, and they'll say, is this the person that did it? And I think there was a case years ago where, oh no, what was the? I think it was in. I saw a clip on. I know it's happened loads of times in reality in the real world, but I think it was in Better Call Saul or whatever it was, from Breaking Bad, and he's in the court, and then he says, "Is this definitely the man that mugged you or definitely broke into your house?" He's like, "Yeah, that's definitely him. It's definitely him." And it was like some random waiter or security guard who worked at the courthouse, and then the real perpetrator was in the back of the court, and he'd switched them because they looked slightly similar. So he was like, well, if that's who you definitely think it is, then you can't say it's definitely him, can you? Because you've said it's someone else now. So I think managing people's expectations is slightly manipulating their beliefs as to what they're going to see, but to put everything into summary, looking after the people you're with by and your followers, your team, your family, whoever it may be, by getting them, being honest with them and letting them know the situation, putting them into a state of, I trust you, because nothing really jumps out on us, and they know what's potentially coming, what's probably coming. If you've got that, your team culture people will start to come on board. People like you. It's one of the most powerful things I can say as a manager, as a leader. It works everywhere, and I think not enough people do it because they're worried about what people are going to say. Maybe you're just not a good leader in the first place, which is why you feel you have to to lie. Dangle a bit of bullshit about a promotion or a bonus or something that's not true. I think if you can get used to managing those expectations, I mean, just a quick story for you before I go. But I remember I went on when I met my wife, my first date with her. My first date, I was like, right, basically, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want this many children. I want this. I want this. And she was like, okay, cool, and that was it. But and she said, well, what would you have done if I'd have said that's not for me? And I'd be like, well, then you're not for me. What's the point in, wasting each other's time? This is my expectations of my life. I'm not saying you. This is what I'm doing with my life. Do you want to be a part of it? I'd love you to be a part of it. And tell me what you want. I mean, this was, like I said, date one. And we both know where we stand. So I think expectations, and even with yourself, playing those mind games to convince yourself about the positive, turning everything into a positive. I mean, when someone says, oh, aren't you annoyed if your child doesn't listen to you, and then they're messing around and then they get in trouble in school? And nope, because it's something I can improve on, and it's a challenge, and it's something that I need to now work. Every child is different, let alone where they live, so you can't treat them the same. So it's a challenge. So that's the first thing. The second thing is my child being pulled from under the rubble in Gaza? No. Is my child is my house, at any minute getting bombed by Israelis, or am I in Ukraine getting bombed? No. I am not in any of those situations. So no matter what, things could be worse. So managing your picture of what is happening, managing everyone else's picture of what's happening, I think is incredibly important. If you've got a team of people, you've got a team of soldiers, you need to remind them of why they're there. We are here to protect the innocent, to do what is right for your families, for everyone else's families. There's kids out there that are getting beaten, killed, raped, beheaded, burnt alive, all this sort of stuff, and we are here to stop that shit. And I think people kind of go, fuck me, yeah, you're right. So reminding people of why they're there, painting, being in control of what they're seeing, painting that picture, managing that expectation. I just wanted to share that because I think it's incredibly powerful, and an expectation is something that I think a lot of people need to be better at managing. So yeah, I hope you like that. I like I said, just wanted to share. I think it's incredibly powerful, incredibly important, and after we had that conversation, I thought, I really wanted to share it with all of you. So yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think. Please leave me a comment. Have a little conversation. See if any of you got any recommendations of any books, people I can interview, anything about leadership. Really, I do want to start bringing as many people into this as possible to go on the journey and just discover everything together. So yeah, let me know. Let me know if you've got any ideas, if you've got any feedback, and yeah, I'll speak to you again soon.